I just got done with the 3 to 4 month process of searching for a mobile remote job, and I want to share with you some of the lessons I've learned. I'm not a recruiter, I'm not an expert at hiring, so take this for what it's worth, but these are the experiences that I found and what worked for me when trying to find a mobile job for full-time living on the road. If you haven't noticed by now, we are extremely selective when we make big decisions. It's not difficult for us to make decisions, but we want to make sure we go into them fully aware and with good research. Getting a job was no different for me. So we have zero regrets on the Airstream we bought, on the van we bought, and the job that I just recently got. But it was a selective process for me. I was methodical and not in a rush, and I highly recommend that. I know we're anxious to get on the road as soon as possible, but being in a rush really isn't a good long-term solution. Everyone's different though, so who knows? Maybe you find the perfect job a week into your search. That'd be great. That was not the case for me though. Job hunting sucks. It's kind of like dating. People tell you, oh, there's more fish in the sea. There's someone out there for you. And a lot of it's in your control and a lot of it isn't. So understanding that going in can help you know not to feel like you're a complete failure if you're struggling to get a job. Stay positive. It's tough out there. Surround yourself with positive people who inspire you and who encourage you. We have some great friends and YouTube fans that keep us positive through all of the difficulties of searching for a mobile position, and that really helped us keep going. One of the websites I used to search for mobile jobs would show how many other applicants applied. One of them had 310 other applicants, one of them had 240, one of them had 80, and it just dawned on me, like, I'm not just competing with people locally in my area, I'm competing with people nationwide and sometimes worldwide as well. And when you think about that, that really lessens your chances of being the person that they select. If they have 300 people to apply from, they're going to get an amazing applicant. If they have 5, you've got a better chance. So know that going in, you're competing with some farmer in Kansas, some person in New York City, some person in Canada, and maybe somebody in India, and 500 other people who want to work from home as well. Because if they can work from home in the middle of nowhere where the job market's really small and cost of living is low, they're going to do that because it's to their benefit. So that means you need to stick out, stand out as much as possible. And the best way to do that is with your resume. I had a pretty solid resume, so I thought when I started, but I sent it out to a few of my friends. A few people reached out to me on YouTube saying that they were recruiters, that they work with a lot of people promoting or looking for recruits and posting positions and hiring. I sent them my resume and they told me everything that was wrong with it. A little bit hard pill to swallow, but I knew it was for my benefit and I really appreciate them. Chris and Ben, you guys are awesome. Thanks for your help. It really helped me. After about 2 months, I refreshed my resume and I started seeing a lot more action based just on the resume. One option that's very risky depending on the company you work for is to contact them, your current job, and tell them about your plans to go mobile and see if they're willing to consider turning your job into a mobile position. A lot of our friends do this, and a lot of our friends that are full-time ended up where they are because of that. And so I kind of weighed my options and I thought, is that a good idea? Is that a bad idea? I have a good open relationship with my boss at my current job, so I approached him and said, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. My dream is to live on the road and be mobile. I love my position here. I love the people I work with, but I need a mobile job to pursue my dream. And is there any chance you'll make this mobile? Now, some companies at that point will fire you. And well, I guess not for asking that. He came back and he said, no, we're not going to be able to offer you a mobile position. And I said, okay, well, I want you to know I'm looking for a mobile position. I'm going to start hiring at other places. That was probably a stupid thing to do selfishly, but I really do think it was the right thing to do with integrity, which is why I did it. I wanted them to know I'm looking. I'm not trying to leave this company as soon as possible, but I'm trying to find a better fit for my dream. Ultimately, they weren't able to give me a remote position, but when I put my 2 weeks notice in the other day, it wasn't a big surprise to them because they knew it was coming. Be careful though and use your best judgment. A lot of companies will fire you if you tell them you're starting to look for a position somewhere else. Unfortunately, that's the case. Well, I wish it weren't, but sometimes that happens. But it's worth weighing out in your mind. Would my current job allow me to go remote or go mobile? I believe you have two options when you're trying to find a good job. Either be patient or end up settling. You don't want to settle for low pay. You don't want to settle for a poor job that's no fun, that's not enjoyable, that's drudgery. So be patient and find what you want for you. And yeah, it took me 3 to 4 months to find exactly what I wanted, but I found exactly what I wanted. As we said, create an amazing resume. I applied to over 100 jobs, and it's crazy what hiring managers do now. There's a lot of hiring companies that send robots to scan your resume. A human doesn't even see it. It's just looking for keywords. So meet with a resume coach, pay someone to build your resume, or study like crazy and build the best resume you can, because that when there's 310 applicants, chances are good if your resume isn't one of the top 10% just really outstanding, it's not going to stand out. Now, resume trends come and go, so I don't want to go too much into what makes a good resume, especially because I'm not an expert at that. But find someone who is. Reach out to someone and reach out to a bunch of people and get it as good as possible. Another thing you should do is have a portfolio showcasing your best work. In this day and age, examples of the work you do are far more powerful than your resume or a list of accomplishments or what degree you have. So get a great portfolio that looks good, that showcases your best work. There are a lot of articles out there that talk about how to get a mobile job that lets you work from home. I've frequented the site flexjobs.com almost daily, and I probably applied to over 60 jobs on flexjobs.com, and not one of them, well, maybe about 5 of them I got calls back for the first interview. But I really didn't feel like FlexJobs was helping me. There's too much competition there. A lot of those postings there ended up canceling. So a month or two later, I'd get an email saying, we decided not to fill this position anyway. It's not open anymore. Maybe that's because they didn't get enough good applicants, or maybe they just were kind of testing the waters to see what they could get. I don't know, but FlexJobs to me, when I first got there, seemed awesome. I paid the 20 or 10 or 50, I don't remember how many dollars to be a member for a year. It did not pay off at all for me. What did pay off was finding a list of the top 100 companies that allow you to work from home. Now, just because a company allows some of their employees to work from home doesn't mean every single position allows you to work from home. So you need to weigh that as well. But that's ultimately how I got my job. I applied for this company for a remote position, made it to the last interview, and I was probably second or third place, didn't get accepted. But I kept looking for more positions from that company that opened up. So when my current position opened up, I emailed them, I applied. When they called me, they said, what are you looking for? I told them I wanted a remote position, and they said, this is not a remote position. Some of our positions are, some of them aren't. So I said, okay, if anything changes, call me. A couple hours later, they called me and said, we really like your resume, we like your skills, we talked to the right people, and we're able to make this a remote position. So that instantly, that's what really helped me. So now instead of competing with 300 or 400 people, because it was posted as a remote position, I applied for a local position that ended up turning into remote because they liked my credentials. I tried that with about 15 other companies, and I felt bad. I felt like I was wasting their time when they call me and say, this position's in New York and you're in Utah, right? Are you planning on moving to New York? And I'd say, well, actually I'm hoping for a remote position. I felt like I was wasting their time, but I was up front right off the bat. But if a company wants you bad enough, they're gonna make remote work if they can. Another thing that worked was looking for my dream job. And my buddy Ben approached me about this, and he said, stop hitting the job boards and sit down and just take 5 minutes and write down 10 companies you would love to work for. And that was a different approach to me, because I was just kind of scattering my seeds to the wind, hoping something would sprout up that worked for me that was remote. But he taught me to be a little bit more patient and more methodical. And so I approached a few companies that I would really like to work for. Some of those companies didn't have openings. Some of them did and couldn't meet my salary requirements. But it was a much more pleasant experience to do that way. And ultimately, the job I ended up with was a job when I approached the company, went to their internal hiring, went to their internal career page, and searched for careers that way. So I recommend finding the top 100 companies that offer work from home jobs, and instead of going to monster.com or Indeed or LinkedIn or anything like that, go to their homepage. So if Apple Computers does that, go to Apple's page /careers or jobs or whatever. Look for jobs on Apple's page instead of on a job board. You'll have way better success that way. Personally, I wasn't ready to change careers. A lot of people had a lot of interesting ideas like becoming a camp host, or I could start my own business, or maybe I could, I don't know, work on RVs on the side and help fix things. And those are great ways to make money, especially if I was in retirement age where I already had a fixed income. But at this point in my life, I have certain financial goals and I need to be able to make them, such as saving for retirement and saving for a rainy day, and we're gonna want to buy some pieces of land one day so we have a home to retire in. Who knows, maybe. But we have financial goals, and a lot of these short-term plans wouldn't allow us to reach our financial goals. So for me, I was just gonna be patient till I found something that met my financial goals long-term, trying to think 5, 10, 20, 30 years down the road. And part of that is I wasn't ready to change careers. I went to college for 10 years to study what I do. I love what I do. I'm good at it, and it pays well, and I have a real talent for it. So for me to completely leave that and start a different career was not what I wanted to do. Now, if 6 months had gone by and I still couldn't find a remote position, I'd be looking into that. Some of you may have to do that. But in my case, I love what I do. And since you're going to be doing it 40 hours a week, make sure you pick a job that you love and you're not just hating life for those 40 hours. So weigh that, is my current skill set marketable in a remote position? Maybe you'll have to start your own business. Maybe you'll have to be creative. For me, I knew I wanted to work for a big corporation with benefits, with, lots of budget for all the software that I need, so I didn't have to take that on myself. Another tip that I would give to myself 3 months ago is when you start progressing on one path and you're getting more and more interviews at that one company for that role, you get excited. For a month or two, you've been feeling like nobody loves me, everybody hates me, I have no skills, why is nobody calling me? And then you finally get an inroad with one and you just want to give up on everything else and put all your eggs in that basket. Don't do that. I did that too many times. In fact, for 6 months, we thought we had the dream job with our dream company, and it was a weird relationship. We were kind of promised things and kind of not, so we held off on applying for jobs because we really thought this was going to come through. It didn't come through, and I lost 6 months of looking for jobs, which really slowed our progress to hitting the road. So even if you've got your dream job and it's lining up and things are going well, don't stop applying for other jobs. Keep the process, keep the balls rolling on all those different lanes. You want to network like crazy. Reach out to everybody you know. That's what everybody says, is it's not what you know, it's who you know. Use LinkedIn for that and take the time to build a really strong LinkedIn profile. Find a recruiter or job coach to help you with that. I've said it over and over again, but you need to be patient. In my experience, some companies took 2 to 3 months to even contact me after I applied. Now, maybe that's because my resume wasn't that great. Maybe that company was just really slow at responding, or maybe they had to leave the position open for 2 months before they started even looking at applicants. But that really blew my mind that I even forgot I'd applied for that job because it was 2 months later. So be patient. This is a long process. You're not going to just apply and in a week or two have a job. My other tip, remember that most of your waking hours are spent at work. So while work is kind of a means to an end, work is not the sole purpose of my life. Make sure you enjoy it. You're going to be spending most of your life doing this. So find something you like, doing what you enjoy. Every job's going to have an element of work to it that's not super fun, that you don't look forward to. But make sure you're in a career you enjoy and that it's not just the first mobile job you can take so you're doing that just to get by. You know, be smart about it. Find out what works for you. Think about your personality. You want to be able to enjoy this. You don't want to be stuck there wishing, you know, watching the hours till the end of the day when you can check out and go play. Maintain a healthy work-life balance. I'm not very good at this right now, but to me, no salary is worth working 60 plus hours a week. Just not worth it. So I turned down a few jobs that had a high amount of travel, a high amount of workload, a high amount of stress, because to me, no job or pay was worth that, because I'm not living to work. I'm working so I can afford to have the life that I want. So yeah, I live for the moments when I'm not at work. Although my work is super enjoyable and I love being there, so I like being at work too, but just keep a good perspective that if you're having to be a total slave and work 60 to 80 hours, you know, travel 3 out of 4 weeks out of the year when that's not something you want to be doing, find an alternative. Don't take that job. Just because a company's interested in you doesn't mean you have to take that job. And that brings me to my final point is, yes, they're interviewing you for the job, but you should also be interviewing them for the job. Just because a company wants you doesn't mean you should take it. Even if they're willing to pay what you want, and it's got to be a good fit for you. So be honest in your interviews. Don't hide things. Don't pretend like they're the perfect company when you're really worried about X, Y, or Z. You know, be straightforward. You're not doing anybody any favors, especially you and your future boss, if you pretend like, let's say your washing dishes is your life passion. If you pretend like that's your passion, but you just need a job super bad, you're not doing anybody any favors to lie about that, because 6 months into the job, you're gonna hate life. Your boss is gonna say, you told me you love washing dishes. Why the sudden change of heart? So, you know, use your best judgment. You know yourself better than anyone. Ask the people you love, do you think I would enjoy this sort of thing? I turned down a few job offers that were flexible and paid well, that would have allowed me to live on the road in the Airstream, but they weren't the right fit for me. And I know that long term it was worth putting those off and delaying the job process for a month or two to find the right job for me. So, like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm sure some of the recruiters in the audience are going to come on here and post much better tips or contradict what I'm saying. This has been my experience. When you're searching for a mobile job, you're competing with people nationwide, anywhere, and the amount of people you're competing with is insane. So you got to up your game. You really got to be on it. You got to have a fantastic resume, a great portfolio, a great LinkedIn site, lots of networking, and you got to just keep trying. So I wish you a lot of luck in finding your mobile job that's perfect for you. It's a tough search, but a lot of companies are waking up to this idea, realizing that people are more efficient and get more done when they work from home than when they're in the office. Plus, they don't have to buy office space, they don't have to pay for office supplies, they don't have to pay for cleaning, they don't have to pay for parking. It's a good deal for a lot of companies, so a lot more companies are opening up to it. Wish you the best of luck in your searches for a mobile position. And we'll keep you posted on what this life is like, because I've never had a mobile job before. I don't have all the answers, but you get to learn from all my mistakes. Thanks for watching. Head over to our website, themoreweexplore.com, to see more of our blog posts and thoughts about this topic and others related to full-time RVing.